Hey! Hi! How you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. The following video you are about to watch is a segment from my previous video, Top 10 Video Game Boss Battles. That video is an hour long, so I understand if there are people out there who just don't have the time to sit through an hour-long video about video game boss battles. Although it is greatly appreciated if you could, would, or already have. Seriously, thank you. However, this one time only, I think I'm going to do something a bit different, and just show off here in this separate video my #1 favorite boss battle from video games, who also happens to be a dragon and what I consider to be the greatest dragon boss battle of all time. I'm hoping this video will give more exposure to the character, the boss itself, as well as the video game it stars in, Dragon's Dogma. So for those of you who don't have the time or don't want to sit through an hour-long video about video game boss battles, here you go. I'm making my #1 boss battle pick from the top 10 its own separate video. However, if you want to see all 10 of my favorite boss battles from video games, well, the hour-long video is still there. Anyways, enough lollygagging. I hope you enjoyed the video. Here we go. And my #1 favorite video game boss battle is...
Take up arms, Arisen, for my kind do not heed the toothless.
Survival lies in my defeat. Still my heart, and you stay the coming end.
#1, Grigori the Dragon from Dragon's Dogma. Grigori is the instigator of everything happening in the game. He's the antagonist. He's the title character of the game. He is the dragon in Dragon's Dogma. He is the sole motivator and purpose of playing Dragon's Dogma. To fight the dragon, to fight Grigori. The entire game, from beginning to end, is building up and hyping up the final battle with Grigori, fulfilling your destiny as the main playable protagonist, the Arisen, to slay the dragon that made you Arisen, the dragon that stole and ate your heart. This boss battle is so awesome, and I love it so much. There's so much to go over. So let's get started. Before the boss battle begins, you are given this simply awesome introductory cutscene of Grigori monologuing and offering the player a choice. So, do you sacrifice the character that you have romanced in the game to have the dragon leave and you be granted wealth and power? Or do you stand and fight and try to defeat the dragon and win back your heart? Well, we all came here for a boss battle, so of course! And so the battle begins with Grigori letting out a mighty roar, causing the interior you're in to start to collapse, forcing you to retreat. But the dragon gives chase, destroying the structure you are in the process. You must run from the dragon as it pursues you through a corridor in this quick but intense chase sequence. After escaping from the corridor in the nick of time, Grigori will be trapped in the corridor temporarily, leaving his head exposed, giving you time to get some free strikes on his head. However, Grigori will still attempt to attack and defend himself, engulfing the chamber in his fire breath. He will eventually break free from the collapsed corridor, and then must have a small skirmish with Grigori in the small enclosed chamber, with the only way to damage him by striking his heart, exposing it as a weak point. After some time and damage, Grigori will smash out of the chamber, and then flying off through an opening, daring you to follow him. And you must now pursue him, leaving the temple, entering the ruins of a great city on the slopes of a mountain. The dragon then ambushes you from behind. The pursuit now takes place as you run across high bridges in the open, leading to watchtowers, taking cover or dodging along the way as the dragon flies in to breathe fire on the bridge. Once you start towards the first tower, the dragon will attack again, collapsing the bridges in the process. After running to the first tower and taking temporary refuge, you traverse across a second set of elevated bridge walkways to the second tower. At the top of the tower, the fight with the dragon is resumed, as you must mount a ballista and fire a bolt at the dragon's heart. The dragon will then strafe and crash into the tower, and doing so you manage to grab onto the dragon's back as it flies into the sky. And now, in a unique gameplay set-piece segment, accompanied by spectacular visuals and equally spectacular music. After grabbing onto the dragon's tail, the dragon will fly with great speed towards the mountain summit. You must now climb forward on the dragon's back against the rush of wind towards its glowing weak spot. This whole sequence on the dragon's back is simply spectacular and heart-racing. I truly feel like I'm holding on for dear life and climbing up the back of this giant flying beast. This part of the boss battle is exhilarating and awesome and a visual spectacle. After striking the dragon's glowing weak point, you are launched from his back and begin falling through the air. And after quickly completing a quick time event before the dragon attempts to eat you mid-flight, this happens.
The hour for turning back is past. The world will have its answer. You or me. Death or life beyond.
And with all of that, the true boss battle begins. Grigori has several devastating attacks and abilities, including, but not limited to, Fire Breath, Fireballs, Stomp attacks, Body Slams, a sweeping backhand, a tail whip, a tail sweep, a devastating grab attack where he'll grab you and smash you into the ground. He'll flap his wings hard, knocking back everyone with high force winds. He'll try to bite and ensnare you in his mouth. But on top of his fire breath attacks and his physical attacks, Grigori can also perform magic. For a short period of time, he'll remain immobile while he casts powerful spells, including ice magic, lightning magic, fire magic, and light magic. He can also grab one of your party members, and if they are not freed from his hand, he will cast a spell on them, temporarily putting them under his control and fighting you. Now, while you can do a bit of damage to Grigori attacking any of his body parts, Grigori's heart is his primary weak spot and must be exposed and struck in order to inflict significant damage. And after enough damage is dealt to Grigori, he will fly up and land on top of a mountain, where he will begin to rain down fireballs from above, forcing you to either shoot him with arrows, hit him with magic, or search for a ballista somewhere in the environment to mount and shoot at him while he's on top of the mountain. Eventually, he will fly off the mountain and start to fly around the battlefield. The only way to ground him again is to hit him with an arrow mid-flight, hit him with magic mid-flight, or hit him with one of the previously mentioned ballistas, having him crash back down into the ground. And while you and your party members can bring down Grigori's health to a measly 1%, Grigori cannot be defeated until the final blow is landed on Grigori's heart by the player. And god damn it, I just love this boss fight. This boss fight is fantastic. It's the perfect boss fight. The story and lore building up to this fight is fantastic. The cutscenes are awe-inspiring. The actual spoken dialogue and voice acting of the character Grigori the Dragon is phenomenal. His dialogue elevates the fight so much, and so does the music. The spectacular, epic, pulse-pounding, epic boss theme music that plays throughout the battle. And keep in mind, this is Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma with its excellent combat system, and the mechanic of actually being able to climb up and all over the boss. Then there's the huge amount of variety in this boss battle with the multiple stages. Then there's the amount of replayability with this boss, battling the dragon over and over again with different vocations, with different class builds, and different weapons, and different pawn party members, providing a whole other experience, depending if you brought knights, or mages, or archers, or if you are one. There's the huge amount of variety in Grigori's attacks and abilities. The fight is fun but fair, it's challenging, and Grigori can deal massive amounts of damage, but there are always tells to his attacks, time to dodge and evade. And then there's just the awesome feeling and satisfying gameplay of climbing up Grigori and striking him in his heart, or shooting him out of the sky. And of course, I gotta mention, he's a freaking dragon! I love dragons, I adore dragons, and Grigori is just such a cool, badass, awe-inspiring looking dragon. I absolutely adore this boss battle. I love this boss battle. It's a blast to play. It's so much fun to play. It's an epic event. It's a memorable experience. I could go on for hours telling you how much I love Grigori the Dragon, and how Grigori the Dragon from Dragon's Dogma is my favorite boss battle from video games of all time.